Hey all! I'm gonna show you in this video how I calculate my profit margin from my Pokemon card selling business. I'm Toby, I'm selling Pokemon cards in Switzerland for around about 1 year now. And knowing your profit margin is very important to see how well your business does. And so let's directly get into it. Okay, first, how can you calculate your profit margin and which numbers do you need to know for it? So the first thing is that you need to know your revenue. So how much you get from your card sales. So for example, you do a card sale, then you get a specific amount plus shipping, depending on where you sell. And if you include it, then this is your revenue. Then the profit is what you really keep. So you need to subtract some of the costs from it. For example, the purchase cost from the card you bought. Then also the marketplace fees, depends on which marketplaces you sell. The payment fee for your provider, and also like the packing costs, envelope and such stuff. And then you also end up with your profit margin then. Also you have a term which is called markup. This is usually referred to the market price of the card. And from there you do like a markup if you sell the card. So for example, you sell the card not for market value, but for 120 or 130% of the market value. Then you have like a markup on it. And yeah, we come later to this. I do an example right now. But first you can see the usual calculation is you have the revenue, then you subtract all your costs you have, and then you end up with your profit. Very simple. And then the profit margin, you just take your profit and divide it by your revenue. And then you end up with a percentage. And in this case, this is your margin then. Okay, now let's see an example, then it's easier to understand. I use the numbers which I usually use for my selling business. So in this example, we got a sale for $26. And usually I list my cards at 130%. Later in the video, I show you exactly how I divide it per value of the card. So I do this differently per card value. But let's just assume 130%. And you buy not at the market value the card, but you try to buy below the market value. This also depends a bit on how expensive a card is. For example, PSA cards often get bought for a higher percentage. It depends also on the buyer, or yeah, I think everyone does this a bit differently. For me, I try most of the time to just buy the cards for 70% of the market value. If it's a really good collection, like we have many illustration wares, then I just do 75 or up to 80%. But up to 80% is a bit risky. Also, if you have then some damaged cards sometimes, then you need to calculate this also with it. And sometimes some cards get lost. I made a video 2 weeks ago where I lost some cards in the shipment. And you need to calculate this as well, because then your profit will also be lower because you just lose cards, or some cards you cannot sell because they're damaged. And yeah, just that you need to know this as well. So you need to have like a safety net. Okay, you have like then, for example, 70% market value price where you buy the card. And then you end up with like this. We have also like the payment fees for the platform. It's usually like 10% for eBay, or I think maybe 11% or something like this. It depends also on the country a bit. For my platforms, it's also most of the time 10%. If I sell something on Shopify, then it's way lower. I think like 2 or 3% only. But on the usual platforms, it's around about 10%. So let's just assume 10% for now. And so we have then the costs for $14 where we buy the card. So this is the card price if we buy at 70%. Then platform fee 10% to 60. Then now an important thing is the fixed costs. You will have, if you have a business, also fixed costs. For me, it's for example a postal address which I need for my business, which I need to pay every month. Also, I have a fee for Shopify, which I think is like $25 or $30 a month. Also, I use TCG Power Tools. They have also like a fee, depend on how much revenue you make, but I just assumed this as fixed costs because I think it stays like the same for me. And this is around about, I think, 50 or 60 or something like this. And yeah, this add up and you need to pay this every month. Not really depend on how much you sell. TCG Pro Tools in this case is dependent, but the other things are not. And I think you maybe have like other fixed costs or some tools you use or such stuff. And you need to get this in as well. And for me, on my current revenue, which I make per month, I also show this later, how much I really make and what my profit margin is in reality. For me, it's around about, for my revenue, 10% then. If I would have like a higher revenue, this number gets lower. But if I have like lower revenue, because it's fixed, this percentage gets higher per se. It's a bit complicated here, but this is how it works with the fixed costs. And so for smaller business, fixed costs is very dangerous. For very large businesses and they have low fixed costs or the fixed costs not increase with it, then it gets lower. So for the future, if I sell more cards, this will be lower because I will not add up any more fixed costs, or not so much, I think. And then we have the packing costs, like envelope, I don't know, all other stuff which you need to ship, like sleeves, top loaders, your labels which you need for your label printer, and all these stuff. And then it's usually like 1.5%, so like 40 cent maybe. And then we end up with, you can see the red things get subtracted, and we end up with 24.6%, which is then your profit margin in this case. Now, if we modify the numbers a bit, so let's assume we have like a more expensive card, then we can only maybe sell the card for 115%, and we might board it for like 75%. Then you can directly see the impact. We have now 13% only left as a profit margin. And the things which I told you before, like shipments which get lost or damaged cards, you need also to account these, and then you have even lower profit left. So you need to be careful. You can see it quickly turns on the numbers, and if you just sell at a bit above the market price, or you have like then 85% where you buy the card, that you see you make a loss. So you cannot do this if you want to have like a business, then this would be very bad. So let's turn the numbers back to how it looked before. Or maybe also like if you do like 140, you can see it even increases. And I just show you now when your business is very good and what it means, what profit margin is usual in which industry. So for example, in retail, you have only like 2 up to 5% profit margin, which is very low. So they have a very thin profit margin. Also for restaurants, it's very small. E-commerce, like the same. Manufacturing, you have like up to 10%, it's a bit higher. And then like professional services, consulting and such stuff can have like higher margin. Also sometimes I think it's even higher than this, just average. Some are way above it. And then like the highest is usually like just software or software as a service. And this can also go higher than these numbers. So to get a rough estimation, I think most of the businesses maybe average around 8 to 12%. So this is like a healthy business if they have like a revenue of this. Depends on the niche where you're in. But I think for the whole industry it would be something around 8 to 12% profit margin. Okay, now if you take a look at Pokemon card sellers, it's okay to have like around about 10%, but it's a bit low, especially if you count in then the losses you also make and the risks you faces. And the card prices can change as well. So if you buy high and then the prices drops, right now it's not the case, but it could be the case. And if you have then if you have a high amount of cards which are very high value, you have like a risk because of this. Then good is 10% plus. And excellent 15 to 20%, and above this it's very strong. So if you have, I think I heard from another YouTuber, I do not remember who it was, but I think he told that you have around about 30%. Most of the time I think this is then higher because you sell like more bulk cards. There you have a nearly 100% profit margin because they only cost like 2 cents, and if you sell them, you have a very high profit margin. Maybe it's like 50 or 60%, I don't know. And if you have then high bulk sale amount, you are way above this. But if you do it with like singles, because the bulk cards have like a small nominal value and it's hard to scale this up for the normal cards, which you can scale, like buying collections and sell like more valuable single cards, then you usually have like numbers around these. If you're above 20%, I think this is very good. Now coming back to the pricing rules. So what I do usually is I just price minimum. I have a minimum price for $2 each card. not bulk cards, but like EX cards, V cards, and all other cards which have like a higher rarity. I just do from $2 onwards. So if it's like only worth like 60 cents, I just price it per $2, because if I get like one card sale, I often get only sales where I sell one card on my platforms, on Cardmarket and also on like Ricardo, which is equivalent to eBay in Switzerland. Then it's not really worth it. I need to print a label, I need to buy the postal stamp with the specific address, I need to maybe ask the customer to pay. So it takes a lot of time, and if I just do like 80 cents then per card, then it's really not good for me. So I just figured out like $2 for these cards is my minimum. And then all the cards which have a value from $1 to $10, I price at 140%. Then for $11 or $10 up to $25, I do 130%. This was the example I showed before. And then above, I get lower. Up to the very high value cards, I only do like a markup of 10%, because it's otherwise very hard to sell these cards in my experience. Sometimes I just do, if I have like one specific card which is a very high value, to get back my liquidity or money faster, I just do like 105% or something like this. If I bought it for like 75%, then it's still fine. Yeah, this is just how I do it right now, and I think other sellers do this differently. And yeah, and I try usually to buy at 70%, but I do also like offers where I go up to 80% or 82 or 83% if it's very, very good cards and I know that they are all near mint condition and many illustration wares or something like this. I go higher than 70%, but for these I usually keep these values. From time to time I check like manually a card and then adjust it a bit. If I see it, there are many sellers in Switzerland which sell the card as well, then I do not the real price, but I only check like the more expensive card manually, like $20 and above, and then it could be differentiated from these values. And for the low-end cards I just stay with these. And yeah, this is just how I do it. And now let's see my numbers or my profit margin on my selling business. And so I have here like the site where I track all my sales. I sell on CardTrader, on Cardmarket, on Ricardo, which is similar to eBay, and also on my own Shopify store. And for this the month January up to May right now. And as we can see here, my total profit margin for this year is 19.4% right now. You can see also my profit here for each month. And the thing is that if we take now a look at the breakdown, we can separate it as per platform as well. In this case, the numbers are higher because I did not count it in the fixed costs here. In the number here, you have the fixed costs included, but to compare it better, I just ignored here the fixed costs. So just to know why these numbers are higher. And as you can see, my profit margin on Cardmarket is the highest. This is because I sell most of the time bulk cards here, and all others are around about the same. I think Shopify is a bit lower, but it might be also affected by this month. You can see Shopify this month, because I also sold, I think, more bulk cards, it was higher. And I think I got a refund also on Shopify because of the lost sending, and this maybe pushed it down a bit as well. And yeah, so this is just what my profit margin looks like on my selling business. So this was my revenue right now, until now, and my profit. And yeah, as always, I'm very transparent on my numbers, and I try to share my knowledge. So if you're interested also in seeing my numbers in the future, I always post like at least a monthly update video. So just feel free to subscribe to my channel, and then hopefully see you in the next video.